The morning my siblings stood in Mom's ICU room and called me a murderer for keeping her alive was the same morning she squeezed my hand 3 times, our secret code for I love you since I was 5 years old. For 23 days, I'd been the only one sitting beside her ventilator, watching monitors trace the rhythm of a life my brother and sister had already written off as gone. They said I was being selfish, that I was torturing her, that the mom we knew died the moment that blood vessel burst in her brain. But when her fingers pressed against mine in that sterile room filled with the mechanical breathing that had become our soundtrack, I knew the truth they refused to see. Mom was still in there, fighting, and they wanted me to be the one to stop her heart. Let me take you back to before the monitors, before the decisions that would tear our family apart, back when Mom was just Mom, and we were just her kids trying to navigate life. I'm a 38-year-old high school English teacher, living in a modest 2-story house in suburban Minneapolis with my husband David and our twin daughters, Emma and Sophia, who just turned 14. My life had always revolved around words, teaching them, reading them, finding meaning in them, but no amount of literature could have prepared me for the vocabulary of medical crisis, Glasgow coma scale, intracranial pressure, DNR orders. My mother, Patricia, was 67 and had been the backbone of our family since Dad passed from cancer 12 years ago. She lived alone in the same rambler where my siblings and I grew up, just 15 minutes from my house. Every Sunday, without fail, she hosted family dinner. Her kitchen always smelled like fresh bread and whatever seasonal pie she decided to bake that week. Mom was sharp as a tack, still working part-time at the library, running her book club, and volunteering at the food shelf every Tuesday morning. My older brother Marcus, 42, was a corporate lawyer in Chicago, successful, analytical, always looking at life through the lens of efficiency and logic. He visited maybe 4 times a year, always checking his phone during dinner, always leaving early for conference calls. My younger sister Jennifer, 35, lived in San Diego, working as a yoga instructor and wellness coach. She preached mindfulness and letting go, concepts that seemed beautiful in her Instagram posts but felt hollow when real life demanded presence. The dynamic between us had always been complicated. As the middle child, I'd somehow become the default caregiver, the one who took Mom to doctor's appointments, helped with house repairs, made sure she took her blood pressure medication. Marcus sent money when needed, generous checks that he seemed to think absolved him of actual time spent. Jennifer sent crystals and essential oils, talked about energy healing and the power of positive thinking. Mom never complained about their absence. They have their own lives, she'd say, patting my hand across her kitchen table. I'm just grateful to have you so close. But I saw the way her eyes dimmed when Marcus canceled another visit, the way she carefully saved every card Jennifer sent as if they were precious artifacts. 3 months before everything changed, Mom had started getting headaches. Not debilitating ones, just persistent enough that she mentioned them during our weekly coffee dates. Probably just stress, she said, waving away my concern. The library's been busy with the summer reading program. I suggested she see her doctor. She promised she would. I should have pushed harder. I should have driven her there myself. The last normal day was a Thursday in late September. Mom and I had gone shopping for Halloween decorations for my classroom. She was animated, helping me pick out paper bats and friendly ghosts, telling me about the mystery novel she was reading for book club. We had lunch at her favorite cafe, split a piece of carrot cake, and talked about the girls' upcoming school play. When I hugged her goodbye in her driveway, she held on a little longer than usual. You're a good daughter, sweetheart, she said, smoothing my hair like she did when I was little. The best daughter a mother could ask for. Mom, you're being weird, I laughed, but something in her eyes made my chest tight. Just feeling grateful, she said, squeezing my hand 3 times, which was our code for I love you. I squeezed back 4 times, I love you too. The call came at 5:47 a.m. the next morning. David answered, his voice thick with sleep, then suddenly alert. I knew before he handed me the phone. That's the thing about calls before dawn, they're never good news. Is this Rebecca Morrison? The voice was professional and clinical. Your mother, Patricia Morrison, has been brought to St. Mary's Hospital. You're listed as her emergency contact. You need to come immediately. The drive to the hospital was a blur of red lights, ignored, and David's steady voice telling me to breathe. The emergency room smelled like disinfectant and fear. A doctor who looked too young to be deciding life and death met us in the family consultation room, a space designed to contain grief, with its muted colors and tissue strategically placed on every surface. Your mother suffered a significant hemorrhagic stroke, he said, his words careful and measured. A blood vessel burst in her brain. She was found by her neighbor when she didn't answer the door for their morning walk. We estimate she'd been unconscious for several hours. The medical terms washed over me like a foreign language. Subarachnoid hemorrhage, midline shift, herniation. But I understood the important parts. Mom was alive but unresponsive. She was on a ventilator. Her brain was swelling. They needed to operate immediately to release the pressure. What are her chances? David asked the question I couldn't form. We won't know the extent of the damage until after surgery, the doctor said. But you should prepare yourself. Even with intervention, the prognosis for this type of stroke, it's guarded at best. I called Marcus and Jennifer from the surgical waiting room, my hands shaking as I dialed. Marcus's assistant answered. He was in a deposition. Jennifer's phone went straight to voicemail, probably in the middle of teaching a sunrise yoga class. I left messages that would shatter their mornings the way mine had been shattered. Mom's in surgery. Stroke. Please come. The surgery took 7 hours. 7 hours of pacing linoleum floors, of terrible coffee from machines, of watching other families receive their news, some crying with relief, others collapsing with grief. David stayed beside me, solid and present, while I texted updates to my siblings. Marcus responded with logistics, booking next flight. We'll handle insurance paperwork. Send me doctor's contact info. Jennifer sent a string of broken heart emojis and manifesting healing energy. The universe won't take her yet. When the surgeon finally emerged, still in scrub, with exhaustion etched in the lines around his eyes, I stood on legs that felt like water. The surgery went as well as could be expected, he said. We were able to relieve the pressure, but there was significant damage to the brain tissue. She's stable but remains in a coma. The next 72 hours will be critical. They let me see her an hour later. Nothing prepares you for seeing your mother. The woman who kissed your scraped knees and sang you to sleep. Connected to machines that breathe for her, that regulate her heart, that measure the electrical activity of a brain that might never wake up. Her face was swollen, a tube down her throat, monitors everywhere. But it was still her. Still Mom. I took her hand, careful of the IV, and squeezed 3 times. Nothing. But I kept squeezing, kept talking, kept believing that somewhere in the darkness she could hear me. Marcus arrived that evening, sweeping into the ICU in his $1,000 suit, phone still in hand. He took one look at Mom, and his professional composure cracked, just for a moment before he rebuilt his walls. What's the prognosis? He asked the night nurse, as if I hadn't already told him everything the doctors had said. He needed to hear it from a medical professional, needed facts he could process in his logical, lawyer brain. Jennifer flew in the next morning, carrying a bag full of what she called healing tools, essential oils, crystals, a singing bowl. The ICU nurses watched with barely concealed skepticism as she attempted to create what she called a healing space around Mom's bed. The lavender will help with the anxiety, she said, dabbing oil on Mom's temples. And the rose quartz promotes unconditional love. Jennifer, she's in a coma, Marcus said flatly. She can't smell anything. Her spirit can, Jennifer shot back. Just because you don't understand energy work doesn't mean it's not real. And so it began, the fundamental divide that would define the next 3 weeks. Marcus approached Mom's condition like a legal case to be resolved efficiently. He interrogated doctors, demanded percentages and probabilities, created spreadsheets of medical information. Jennifer retreated into New Age spirituality, talking about Mom's journey and transition as if dying was just another form of yoga pose to master. And I sat by Mom's bed, reading her favorite books aloud, playing her beloved jazz albums on my phone, squeezing her hand 3 times every hour, and waiting for a miracle that statistics said wouldn't come. On day 3, the neurologist performed a series of tests. Mom showed minimal brain activity, just enough to maintain basic bodily functions. She didn't respond to pain stimuli. Her pupils were fixed. The Glasgow Coma Scale, a measurement I'd Googled obsessively, put her at a 4, the lowest score compatible with life. We need to discuss long-term care options, the neurologist said, her voice gentle but firm. Your mother is in what we call a persistent vegetative state. While it's possible for patients to emerge from this state, the likelihood decreases significantly with each passing day. After 2 weeks, the chances become minimal. Marcus jumped on the word minimal like the lawyer he was. What percentage exactly? Less than 10% show any meaningful recovery after 2 weeks in PVS following this type of stroke, the doctor admitted. And of those, most have significant disabilities. That night, Marcus called a family meeting in the hospital cafeteria. Over congealed lasagna and wilted salad, he laid out his case with the same precision he probably used in court. We need to be realistic, he said, his legal pad covered with notes. Mom wouldn't want this. She wouldn't want to be kept alive by machines with no quality of life. We know this. She told us after Dad died that she never wanted to end up like him, hooked up to everything, prolonging the inevitable. That was different, I argued. Dad had terminal cancer. He was in pain. Mom's not suffering, she's healing. Jennifer, for once, agreed with Marcus. Her soul is trapped, Becca. We're keeping her from moving on to whatever comes next. It's not natural. Nothing about modern medicine is natural, I snapped. If we followed natural, she'd already be dead. But she's not. She's fighting. She's not fighting, Marcus said, his patience clearly wearing thin. Her brainstem is maintaining basic functions. That's not the same as living. How do you know? I demanded. How do you know what she's experiencing? What if she can hear us? What if she's trying to come back but needs more time? The arguments continued for days, growing more heated with each passing hour that Mom remained suspended between life and death. Marcus had contacted the hospital's ethics committee, researching our legal options. As Mom's children, we all had equal say in her care, but the doctors preferred unanimous decisions. Without consensus, Mom would remain on life support indefinitely, or until her body gave out on its own. Jennifer started spending less time at the hospital, claiming the energy was too heavy. She'd show up for an hour, wave some sage around, until the nurses made her stop due to oxygen safety concerns, then leave for her hotel, posting Instagram stories about finding peace in difficult times, while I held Mom's hand through another long night. Marcus grew increasingly frustrated with what he saw as my emotional decision-making. "You're not thinking clearly," he said during one particularly nasty argument. "You're letting guilt drive this. Just because you were here the most doesn't mean you get to make unilateral decisions about her life. And just because you were here the least doesn't mean you get to swoop in and play God," I shot back. On day 14, the day the statistics said hope should die, something happened. I was reading Mom her favorite Mary Oliver poem when I felt it. A pressure against my palm. Slight, possibly imagined, but there. I squeezed 3 times and waited. Nothing. Then, so faint I almost missed it. 3 squeezes back. I called for the nurse, my heart pounding. She checked Mom's vitals, performed the standard responsiveness tests. Mom didn't respond to any of them. The nurse gave me a sympathetic look, the kind reserved for family members grasping at straws. "It could have been an involuntary muscle spasm," she said gently. "It's common in coma patients." But I knew. I knew the difference between a spasm and our secret code. Mom was in there trying to reach me. I texted Marcus and Jennifer immediately. They arrived within the hour, skeptical but hopeful. We stood around Mom's bed while I demonstrated, squeezing her hand 3 times. Nothing. Marcus squeezed. Nothing. Jennifer tried, even adding some Reiki healing energy or whatever she believed in. Nothing. "You imagined it," Marcus said, not unkindly. "You're exhausted, Becca. You've been here every day. When's the last time you got real sleep?" "I didn't imagine it," I insisted, but doubt crept in. Had I wanted it so badly that I'd created the sensation? That night, Marcus presented me with papers. "Medical power of attorney," he explained. "Mom never formally designated one of us. Without it, we're stuck in limbo. I've had the hospital legal team draw up papers. If you sign over decision-making to me, I promise we'll wait another week. If there's no improvement, real, medically documented improvement, we let her go peacefully." "You mean we kill her?" I said. We stop artificially prolonging a life that's already over," he corrected. Jennifer nodded along. "It's what's best for everyone, Becca, including Mom." I didn't sign the papers. 2 weeks later, day 23, everything came to a head. Marcus had flown back to Chicago twice for work, each return bringing more ammunition for his case. He'd consulted with other neurologists, all of whom confirmed the original prognosis. He'd even brought in a bioethicist to talk to me about the difference between ordinary and extraordinary means of preserving life. That morning, he and Jennifer staged what felt like an intervention. They arrived together, unified in their purpose, and asked to speak with me privately. We sat in the family consultation room, that same room where I'd first learned the word hemorrhagic, and Marcus pulled out a folder thick with documents. "We've consulted with lawyers," he said. "If you continue to refuse, we can petition the court for guardianship. Mom's living will is vague, but it does state she doesn't want extraordinary measures if there's no hope of recovery. Every doctor we've spoken to says there's no hope. You're being selfish, Becca. You're keeping her alive for you, not for her." Jennifer, usually the peacemaker despite her flaky tendencies, was harsh. "You're torturing her. Whatever is left of Mom in that body, you're forcing her to stay when she's ready to go. It's cruel." She squeezed my hand. I said, the same argument I'd been making for 9 days. "Once," Marcus said. "One time that no one else witnessed. That could have been anything. You're destroying yourself and traumatizing your daughters over a muscle spasm." That hit hard. Emma and Sophia had been to visit their grandmother several times, and I'd seen how it affected them. The machines, the tubes, the hollow shell of the woman who used to bake them cookies and tell them stories. Was I being selfish? Was I holding on to false hope while everyone else faced reality? "We're going to talk to the ethics committee this afternoon," Marcus continued. "With or without you. It's time, Becca. It's past time." They left me alone to think. I walked back to Mom's room, where she lay exactly as she had for more than 3 weeks, still, silent, sustained by machines. The ventilator wheezed its rhythm. The heart monitor traced its mountains and valleys. I took her hand and squeezed 3 times, as I had hundreds of times before. "Mom," I whispered, If you're in there, if you can hear me, I need you to show me. Please. They want to let you go. Marcus and Jennifer, they think it's time. And maybe they're right. Maybe I'm being selfish. But if you're fighting, if you want more time, you have to show me. Please, Mom. Please. I squeeze 3 times again. And then, clear as day, undeniable and deliberate, 3 squeezes back. Not a spasm. Not my imagination. 3 distinct squeezes. I gasped, my eyes flooding with tears. Mom, I squeezed again 4 times this time. 4 squeezes back, I love you too. I ran into the hallway, nearly colliding with Mom's day nurse, Catherine. She's responding. She's squeezing back. Please, you have to document this. Catherine, who'd watched me hold vigil for weeks, who'd brought me coffee and tissues, and never once suggested I was delusional, followed me quickly. She took Mom's hand professionally, performed the standard tests. Then she tried our code, 3 squeezes. We all waited. Mom squeezed back. Catherine's eyes widened. Patricia, if you can hear me, squeeze once for yes. 1 squeeze. Squeeze twice for no. 2 squeezes. The neurologist was called. More tests were performed. Mom couldn't open her eyes or move anything but her hand, but she was consistently responding to yes/no questions through squeezes. When Marcus and Jennifer were called back, the doctor explained that Mom was showing signs of emerging from the vegetative state into what they called a minimally conscious state. This changes things, the doctor said. It's still a long road, and she may never progress beyond this, but she's showing purposeful response. That's significant. Marcus's face went through a series of emotions. Shock. Hope. Then something darker. She's suffering, he said quietly. She's aware enough to suffer. But when the doctor asked Mom directly, Patricia, are you in pain? Squeeze once for yes, she squeezed twice. No. Patricia, do you want us to continue treating you? 1 squeeze. Yes. It's been 2 months since that morning in the ICU. Mom is now at a specialized rehabilitation facility, still on a ventilator, but slowly improving. She can open her eyes for short periods, track movement, and communicate through hand squeezes. The doctors call it remarkable, though they're careful to manage expectations. She'll likely never walk again, possibly never talk. But she's here. She's aware. She's Mom. Marcus barely speaks to me. He believes I've condemned Mom to a living hell, trapped in a broken body. He visits once a month, stays for an hour, and leaves looking haunted. Jennifer comes more often, but there's a distance between us now, a chasm created by those 3 weeks when I stood alone against them. She still talks about Mom's quality of life, in hushed tones when she thinks I'm not listening. I lie awake at night wondering if they're right. When I watch Mom struggle through physical therapy, tears streaming down her face from the effort of trying to move her fingers independently, I wonder if I've been unspeakably cruel. When she looks at me, really looks at me, with recognition and what I hope is gratitude but might be accusation, I wonder what she's thinking. David says I did the right thing, that I gave Mom a chance when everyone else had given up. The girls visit their grandmother every weekend, reading to her, painting her nails, filling her room with teenage chatter that makes her eyes bright. But there are days when Mom's eyes are vacant, when she doesn't respond to our squeezes, when the weight of consciousness seems too heavy for her damaged brain to bear. Last week, Mom managed to mouth a word. It took 3 speech therapists and countless attempts to understand, but finally we got it, thank you. But thank you for what? For saving her? For not giving up? Or was it sarcastic? Thank you for trapping me in this nightmare? The medical bills are astronomical. Marcus was right about that, too. Insurance covers some, but not all. I've taken a second mortgage on the house. David works overtime. The girls know college funds are being drained. Sometimes I catch them looking at me with something unreadable in their eyes. Pride or resentment, I can't tell. I have to ask, was I wrong for refusing to let Mom go when my siblings demanded it? Should I have accepted the medical consensus and let her die with dignity when she was fully unconscious? Or was I right to fight for that slim chance, to believe in those hand squeezes when no one else did? She's alive because I refused to give up. But what kind of life is it? Would you have made the same choice, or would you have let go? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read searching for absolution or condemnation. Anything to quiet the voice in my head that whispers both you saved her and you should have let her go. And if you faced impossible decisions about loved ones, please share. Sometimes knowing we're not alone in these impossible choices is the only comfort we have. If you enjoy real-life Reddit dramas brought to life, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories